our judiciary, then lot of doctrinal labels are prescribed or formulated during the course of last 63 years. That we can summarize into many, we can say in many words, but I have put it in 5 different headings: obscenity, offending speech, hate speech, workplace harassment, national security, etc. These are the context is conflict with the freedom of press, which is come under the freedom of speech and expression. There are different cases, in each thing we can say, into different contexts. I am not going into detail of these things. This will be, again repetition. Now I want to say something about the Indian situation, what we are facing today. There are 3 instances. We can say, whenever we are saying we are teaching anything, we will say there are 3 principles. We can add 1 more. Of course, I am also putting 3 instances and adding to that 1 more. The first instance is media exposed certain things. In the very recent, or we can say it is current. First one is Commonwealth Games. There are 2 angles. Media helped, and also they exposed many things. Second aspect is 2G scam. I am not going into detail of this. Third one is Adarsh colony, is related to the housing society flash thing. I don't know whether our foreign delegates is aware of these things. These are the 3 instances. Adding to that, their press done a wonderful job, we are saying, in both the ways. When they intrude into the affairs of the administration, administration was vigilant and act very quickly. That's why the success of Commonwealth Games. At the same time, they expose the alleged corruption. I am not saying it is corruption. Maybe it is alleged or once it is proved, we can say it is corruption. 2G scam, same thing happened. Other society thing. Now, those who are exposed these people, they are also under what? You think about it. That is the famous Meera Radia and the subsequently challenged petition by Mr. Tata. You think about this aspect. In this context, I want to place before you 5 points for discussion. The first one is the idea. Of course, we have discussed this one. What we want only news. We don't want views. Those who are interested, they can witness the views. We are not expecting anybody has to impose certain views on us 24/7. It will continue 24 hours. Repeatedly, we are liking or not liking, you have to see the same thing. With, many people are sitting and imposing certain things. They are arguing this, we are wasting our time with this. Whether we need this kind of thing, or of course it is optional. At the same time, you want to see something, you are bound to see the views also. Whether media, role of media in a democracy is giving news or views. That is, whether here my question is it a problem or a cure? Yes, if media is starting the trial. Now this is coming to the apex court for the settlement. There, whether the trial is happening, by the court deliberations is happening or media trial is happening. Think about it. Again, same question, what problem or cure is applicable here. In this regard, the 200 report of Law Commission of India is also very much relevant. Then, if it is so, what is the free trial? The fourth one, the sanctity of sting operations and privacy matters. The President of International Council of Jurists, Dr. Rajesh Agarwala, and myself is talking to phone. Somebody is tapping that one. They are putting the X is so, Y is so. Whether the privacy issue. I don't know what kind of democratic situation we can enjoy. Whether we are under a surveillance. You want to know whether I am or you. Whether what is the conflict between this situation with our constitutional provision. You have to think about it. Then, if it is so, what is the remedy? Is it a self-regulation? Is a remedy? Yeah, of course. Press Council of India is there. There are a lot of ombudsman system is working within the media organization and group of organizations. If these are the points once we can accept, then the question of autonomy and public debate. Whether that institution is enjoying autonomy, whether institution alone is enjoying, or editors are enjoying, or every journalist enjoys that freedom, or the media, cross-media ownership, those who owns the media is enjoying that freedom. Whether they are utilizing this media as a tool for their own benefits. Think about it. Now every media organization is having multi-facet businesses, cross-media ownership. Where we are going, our democracy, where it will stand. If it is so, how the public robust debate will come. Of course, one media is saying, discussing about only, if you are seeing at Sun TV, one version of 2G scam you can see. If you are witnessing NDTV, another version. We want to do research. Which one is correct? But what we are expecting that. Of course, these are the few things in this. Maybe it's a cross-media ownership and business groups may be one of the aspect of this. Otherwise, who will run this one? These are the 6 questions I am putting before you for further discussion. I don't know whether we can add more points also for discussing also. Then lastly, I end with, again, I am quoting Mr. Palkiwala. Openness is a concomitant of a free society. Men in power try to control and corrupt the press because they would not like anything to be known by the public, which would detract from the respect, the acclaim and adulation to which they think they are entitled. This creates a conflict between rulers who are keepers of secrets and the press who are the tellers of tales. We put an example from Lee Kuan Yew and Jawaharlal Nehru, and he ends with Lord Acton's dictum that the power tends to corrupt and the absolute power corrupts absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Vigyan. You have very beautifully highlighted the 3 scams exposed by the media in recent times. and also indicated to introspect them on their own. Now I request Mr. David D. Peck, who is Associate Professor of History and Political Science in Brigham Young University, Idaho, that is United States of America, to kindly come on the dais and address the gathering.
I hope I've learned Indian customs since my arrival here. I believe it's appropriate in some occasions to say no. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm here on a Fulbright Nehru lecturing grant, which is a U.S. government and Indian government co-sponsored grant to lecture at Delhi University Faculty of Law, and I've been warmly embraced already at the Indian Law Institute as well. I'm very grateful for the way in which you received me. It's an honor for me to be among all of you, and wish you to accept that. I don't want to take very much of your time, but I thought maybe I could add a perspective to the question of freedom of the press in the context of terrorism, which I think that often when we think of freedom of press, we think of the proactive right that the press may have to present ideas, news, information to the public. But the other side of that is the power of the state. The power of the state to put out propaganda. The power of the state to provide either misinformation or disinformation is highly pronounced in our day. And so if I were to suggest that there be something that we consider here at the conference relative to freedom of the press in the context of terrorism, it is that in times of fear, in times of strong emotion, it is probably most important at that time that we have a free press. And there certainly have been many times in American history where a free press has been beneficial. In my own generation, it was the Vietnam War and the publication in the New York Times and Washington Post and elsewhere of what they call the Pentagon Papers, which was a report on the reality of the Vietnam War rather than what was being presented to us by our own government in its propaganda schemes. And once that truth was learned, it had a powerful impact upon the public's opinion to express its support or lack of support for the war. Whereas prior to the disclosure of that sort of information, there was no democracy, because there were no ideas to discuss, there were no facts that were relevant to discuss. And so as we look at something like terrorism, I think we need to be on our guard to make sure that that's the time when the information is most available. That's the time when we actually allow the press even more opportunity to speak openly. And so as we look at the cases today of human rights involvement in Guantanamo Bay on the part of America, as we look at CIA secret prisons which may exist in Afghanistan, Iraq, and elsewhere, it's more important than ever that the public know about these things so that we can debate these things. Otherwise, in the face of massive propaganda, one has to ask the question of whether there can be any democracy at all. Thank you for having me here, and I hope that that comment was worth your while.
Who is from the chambers of Paul Mandel QC and Judge Director Stephen QC, Jet Blue London, to kindly share his views.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and could I adopt the words of my learned predecessor and thank you for the very warm welcome I've received. I am a barrister. I practice in London in large criminal chambers, and many of the cases I defend in as defence counsel raise important issues, sometimes extremely difficult issues, concerning the relationship between the issue of freedom of the press, the media, on the one hand, and the fairness of a criminal trial on the other. And within the next few minutes, 7 or 8 minutes, what I hope to do is just to fill you in on how we in the United Kingdom approach this complicated issue, in the hope that the way we do it and my few comments on it will be of interest and assistance to you. The starting point is always the overriding requirement for a criminal trial to be fair. And as was said by the Lord